Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone out there is doing well, wherever you are, whatever time it may be. I hope you are blessed beyond measure. Before we get into this encounter, I just want to remind everyone listening, if you've had an encounter of your own and would like to share it here on the channel, be sure to reach out to me and send me an email. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Friends, legends, family, let's go ahead and get into tonight's encounters. Grab a drink. Lock your doors and windows. Hit the lights. And let's get started. Hey, Reels. My name is Brad. I was born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa. I grew up in the 1990s, and I think it was the last generation that wasn't completely taken over by phones and technology. You're right about that. All my friends and I did growing up was show up at your buddy's house and go play in the woods for hours on end until the street lights came on, or you heard your mom or dad whistle from blocks away. I'm still not sure how they were able to whistle that loud. I'm sorry for rambling. I'll get to my encounter. My encounter happened in the summer of 2023. I was working on an ambulance. I've since moved to a smaller town and now work for that county's ambulance service. I won't give out the exact name of the service as I don't honestly know if this will get me in trouble or not. I've always preferred working in the smaller towns in EMS because if stuff is really going down, it's not like the city where you're 5 or 10 minutes away from a large level 1 or 2 trauma hospital. It's just you and this critical patient for an hour or more at times. I've really fallen in love with it. This jurisdiction I work is nothing like it is in the city that I grew up in. There are large forested areas and massive bluffs and hills, including one of the largest state parks. It honestly feels like it's out in the Appalachian Mountains, more than the flat state of Iowa. But it was just one of those days where we were running our butts off all day with call after call. Now we are on 24-hour shifts and run 2 crews. It isn't super uncommon for both ambulances to be out all day and all night. It was approaching shift change and a call dropped just prior to 7 p.m. and the night crew was nice and took the call. No more than 20 minutes later, another call dropped for a routine lift assist called in by Life Alert. But this was 25 minutes away and was deep out into the sticks. We went en route, and that town's first responders were unable to respond, so it was just my partner and I. As I said, this was very deep in the sticks down a country road. There's no light out there. It's extremely dark. And we find the residence, and it has a fairly long gravel driveway with a turnaround at the end. We parked the ambulance, and as I got out, I got hit with an awful smell, but didn't think anything of it, as we go into dirty houses all the time, and I thought it could maybe be the house. I grab our first out bag, and my partner grabbed the clipboard, and we proceed into the residence, thinking it was going to be a quick lift assist, and we would be on our way. We proceed into the residence, and I immediately notice that it's extremely clean. Cleaner than my own house, and there's no odor coming from inside the residence. My partner was a brand new EMT, but she noticed the same thing. But we were both more focused on helping the individual who needed assistance. We found the patient in the back bedroom next to their bed, and they were a little more hurt than they were willing to admit. We did our assessment and spent a good time trying to convince the patient to go to the hospital, as they were very unsteady on their feet and a fall could happen again. But we can't just kidnap people and force them into the ambulance and go to the hospital. We did, however, convince them to call a relative and have them come over and monitor them for a while. We had them sign our refusal form, and as my partner was getting it filled out, I noticed I was beginning to smell the odor from before. It wasn't as overpowering, but you could definitely tell it was there. The patient then thanked us, and we proceeded back out of the residence. I locked the door for them on the way out. The smell was even worse than before. It was very similar to the smell of death, which I am all too familiar with. My partner and I get into the back of the ambulance and shut the door, and we are putting the equipment back, and that's when I hear the back left door of the ambulance handle start shaking, like somebody is trying to open it. Which you can't open that door before the right one. I looked through the back window, and our ambulances had windows where we can see out, but no one can see in. As I'm looking, I don't see anything, but I then hear the driver's side rear compartment open and close. My partner thinks it's maybe the family member who we had called trying to get into the ambulance. And she goes to open the door. I stopped her, then locked all the doors in the ambulance. I put my finger to my mouth, and we can hear walking in the gravel outside. And it's coming to the rear door yet again. This time we see something walk by the back windows of the ambulance, and it's taller than the windows themselves, which are nearly 9 feet or more off the ground. My partner begins to panic slightly as I calm her as much as I can. It then goes to the side door, which also has a window, but it's unable to see through that as well. I then know if it gets to the front of the ambulance, we have a Type 3 ambulance, which the cab is connected to the back, and it will be able to see right through the front window into the back and see us. I tell my partner to stay put in the back and stay out of the line of sight, and I'll crawl through and jump into the driver's seat and take off. I crawl through and initially didn't see anything, and my partner actually follows suit and gets up there, and that's when she screams. We see only what can be described as a werewolf begin to stand up and show itself right in front of the hood of the ambulance. I think it knew we were going to go to the front of the cab, and it would be able to lure us to the front, being out of sight. It had dark amber-colored eyes, and its arms were long enough it probably could have reached the window. Like many others have described before, it appeared to smile or bare its teeth. I then turn on the emergency lights and flip the sirens on, which immediately startled it, and it backed off slightly, covered its eyes. I quickly put the ambulance in gear, and I was going to run it over, but it easily got out of the way and ran off in a direction that I'm not sure of. I wasn't sure of what to do next. I knew if I told dispatch there was a werewolf at the residence, they likely wouldn't send anyone out and laugh at me. I called them directly with my phone and told them there was a large animal that could pose harm to a family member that would be arriving. They told me they would send someone out there, but I honestly heard no radio traffic take place, so it makes me wonder if anyone was even called. I even talked to a friend of mine who works for the DNR in the area about it, and he hadn't heard anything on the matter. My partner that I worked with that night left soon after. I'm not sure if it was because of what we saw or not. I had returned to that residence more than once for the same thing, but never saw it again. Oddly enough, they never once asked me about why I flipped the lights and sirens on in their yard in the middle of the night. Maybe they knew and didn't want to talk about it. Thanks for taking time and listening to my encounter. Keep up all the hard work, Reels. Well, legends, there you have it. Another individual's Dogman encounter put out there for all of you to hear. Before I say anything, I want to thank Brad for reaching out with his encounter. I myself cannot imagine being trapped in any enclosed space, especially an ambulance, while one of these things are walking around outside. Especially when they're testing the door handles trying to get in. That is absolute nightmare fuel if I've ever heard it. I'm glad you and your partner got out of there without either of you being hurt. That's a terrifying experience, and again, I thank you for sharing it, and I hope I narrated it to your liking. Thank you, brother. I also want to thank you, Legends, for dropping by to listen. The channel is still slowly growing, and it's all because of people like you that continue to listen. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. You guys always like and fully support the channel. I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you, each and every one of you, for listening. If you're new here and not subscribed to the channel, and you enjoyed this upload, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It's totally free. It really helps the channel to grow and progress forward. Best of all, you won't miss any new uploads that I post. That is, if you do remember to hit the notification bell as well. If anyone's interested in contacting me or becoming a member of the channel, I'll leave both of those links in the description below. Well, Legends, this is where I leave you for now. But, good news, I do have another upload later tonight. And trust me, it's one that you guys don't want to miss. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Until next time, my friends, watch over your loved ones. Keep your head on a swivel. And as always, good night.